Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Saskia and today's video is going to be about PA school interviews. Now, I recommend you grabbing a pen, paper, and writing down what I have to say in this video because it's a lot of gems I will be dropping and I hope it helps you when it comes down to your PA school interview. Now, in my opinion, I feel like the PA school interview is the most important aspect of your application because that is your chance to really seal the deal when it comes to getting accepted. By now, they've already looked at your application and they see something in you that they like, and now they want to transition into getting to know you in person, seeing how you are, how you interact with others, and seeing if you are a good fit for their program. Now, let's get into the different types of PA school interviews that there are because there are different types that you need to know about, and that's how you're going to best prepare for your interview. Every school is different, so it's really important to know how every school does their interview so that you are best prepared for when it's your turn to go to yours. Now, due to the COVID pandemic, there are in-person interviews and virtual interviews. I did both. One program did virtual interviews and another did in-person interviews, so I was able to see the differences between both. A virtual interview is what you think it is. It's basically you on Zoom and you're talking to your interviewers. Damn, sorry, I don't know what that was. So usually it is a one-on-one or a two-on-one interview, but there are different styles of interviews. For my virtual interview, I did a two-on-one interview, meaning two people were interviewing me. One was a faculty member and one was a former student who had just graduated from the program. And they were interviewing me and asking me different types of questions in regards to PA school and just be in general. With my second interview, that one was in person and that had different other components to it. It was a group/panel interview, an essay, a two-on-one interview, and I got to meet other members of my cohort and faculty as well. So different types of interviews for two different programs. So that's why it's important for you to make sure you know what you are going to be coming across when you go to your interview. Now, the book that I want to say helps me out the most, or the resource that helped me out the most for interviews is this book right here, y'all. This is the Physician Assistant Interview Guide by Savannah Perry. She is a PA that has gone through this process and knows what it's like, and she wrote a book about how to best prepare for your interview. This isn't sponsored or anything like that. I bought this book last year with my own money on Amazon, and it was the best purchase I could have made because I really feel like it helped me get both of my acceptances, because this book goes over pretty much everything you need to know and it makes you super prepared. I will be going through some parts of the book, but I recommend you guys buy the book. It's not very expensive. I don't think it's more than 20 bucks, but I don't remember. And again, you can buy this off of Amazon. She also has a Instagram that you can follow. I believe it's called the PA Platform, and like a website blog that has more information and resources in regards to applying to PA school. Definitely check out her Instagram and her blog. I don't know this woman in real life. She doesn't know me at all, but her book really helped me. And I know a lot of people read this book and were like really impressed by it, and it really helps them. And I think it's really good because the interview is where you can seal the deal, right? Where you cinch everything and put everything together, and they get to see who you are in real life, and you get offered your seat based off of the interview. And interviews are very competitive, guys. Let me explain to you guys how my cohort is set up, right? So my school only has 20 seats in the entire program. So my school is only 20 students for each cohort, right? So with my program, there's only 20 seats available. And really, when I applied, it was 19 because there was a student from the previous cohort who had dropped out and he is re-entering through our cohort. So that's one less seat available for you to get, right? 19 seats available. They offered about 100 people interviews. So you're competing with about 100 people for literally 19 seats. That's how competitive this whole thing is. By now that you've been offered an interview, your application is probably pretty great, right? Pretty good. That's where they offered you the interview. So now it's your turn to make your best impression and get an acceptance based off how you perform in the interview, which is what this video is going to be about. So like I mentioned before, there are different types or styles of interviews, right? There's the traditional one-on-one, so one person interviewing you. There's the two-on-one, so you're getting two people interviewing you. That's what I had to experience twice, actually. There's the group interview, and there's a panel interview. I did a group/panel interview. It was 4 faculty members interviewing us 4 applicants in one room. So it was like 8 people in a room. They each asked us a question, and then us applicants had a chance to each answer their questions in a random order. Another type of interview they do is the MMI, known as the multiple mini interview section. This is really popular amongst medical schools, and now PA schools are starting to adopt the same thing. I'm gonna read you guys a passage from this book, or an excerpt from this book, that kind of goes to detail as to what an MMI is. So for the MMI, she says, in a traditional MMI, you have 7 to 10 short, timed, highly structured interview scenarios lasting 5 to 10 minutes each. Think of it like stations. You will typically receive a prompt or scenario with 1 to 2 minutes to prepare before facing the interviewer for 5 to 7 minutes with your response. Fair warning, the types of questions in MMI can be plain weird, which we'll see in chapter 7. So in chapter 7, she goes more in depth as to how to prepare and answer MMI questions. I'm not gonna go into that because that would be too long, and I'm not trying to make this video super long. Oops. But basically, they'll give you a scenario. You'll have some time to review the scenario and come up with an answer as to how you'll answer the question, and then you'll be in front of an interviewer and you'll answer your question based off the scenario they just gave you. Hope that makes sense. I didn't have to do an MMI, but that's one thing you may come across in your interview depending on the school. Another thing they may do is the behavioral/situational interviews. That's typically when they give you a certain scenario and you have to kind of act out or answer a question based off the scenario they gave you. It's usually ethical based, so keep that in mind. She has examples of how to answer these questions, and she has examples also of the questions or the interview styles in action. One great thing about this book is not only that she teaches you how to answer the questions, but also what type of interview styles will be coming across so you're best prepared to tackle your interview. So as you guys can see, for example, chapter 6 is ethical questions. So she kind of goes over how to answer ethical questions in the book. Anything you'll come across in your interview, she has probably answered in this book already. So I recommend getting the book. Other things to expect during your interview are quizzes. Some schools do quizzes on different topics like medical terminology, anatomy, or GRE style questions. So that's another thing to keep in mind. The school will tell you when you get offered the interview how the format is, or you can go online and Google how they do their interviews. The PA forum, I believe it's called the Physician Assistant Forum, sometimes has people who had an interview. They kind of go into detail as to how the interview for the school was structured. So that might be a good resource to check out as well. So personally for me, my first PA school interview was a virtual interview. Like I said, it was a 2-on-1 interview. Faculty member and a former student who had just became a PA, they interviewed me and asked me questions. Now the second interview I had for a different school was way more complicated. It was like 4 hours, whereas the virtual interview was like maybe 30 minutes to an hour max. Now the second school had a group interview/panel interview, a 2-on-1 interview, and an essay component. She does go over essays as well. So to give you guys the different styles of interviews, we have the 1-on-1, the 2-on-1, the group interview, the panel interview, the essay, the behavioral/situational interview, the multiple mini interviews, MMI, quizzes, and of course virtual interviews, which can include any of those previous components. So with my second interview, I did have to do an essay. The essay, I copied the format that she wrote in her book. She did a simple 5th grade style essay, and that's what I did. What I love about this book is since she's also a PA, she went through this process and she had an essay for her PA school interview, and she told us how she tackled that, and I copied the same format. She said she did a 5th grade style essay, which is the introductory paragraph, the 3 body paragraphs that include your 3 reasons, and then a concluding paragraph that summarizes everything. That's what I did, y'all. No cap, no kizzy. That's literally what I did. I had my intro, introduced my 3 reasons in the intro, went and broke down the 3 reasons. I also gave like opponent reasons, or like, how do I say this? Like, you know when you have an argument, you're arguing for something and there's obviously going to be a person arguing against that. I also included their perspective as well to kind of seem well-rounded, or to look like I can see both sides of a situation or both sides of an argument. The pros and the cons, basically, is what I addressed. That may be a risky move. I didn't want to seem all over the place, like I couldn't make up my mind on the situation, but I also wanted to give both sides, you know, a platform so they can see, oh wow, like she looks at both sides of the situation before she tackles a problem. Y'all see what I'm trying to say? Okay. And of course, I concluded it with my reasons wrapped up, and that was basically it for my interview essay. The panel interview for me was a group interview combined as well. We had 4 faculty members interviewing us, and it was 4 of us applicants. So 8 people in a room, they each asked us a question, and then us interviewees had a chance to answer the questions as well. That was a really great chance to kind of get to know other people and see how they think and how they answer the questions. And also it gives you a chance to kind of look friendly and personable with your possible future classmates, right? Remember, if you're doing an in-person interview and you're gonna be interacting with your future classmates, you wanna look like a team player. You wanna look like someone that can get along with other people and can, you know, be nice, not funny, but like entertaining, or like, you know, let your personality shine through is what I'm trying to say. I'm pretty funny and I'm also pretty entertaining. I kind of want to just make sure that they can see who you are and what type of person you'll be in the program. That's one thing I want you guys to take away from this video, is you want to answer every question with the effect of, this is how I'll be as a student in your program, and this is how I'll be as a PA in a clinical setting. Everything you say, you kind of want to have those 2 things in mind, because all of the questions, or most of the questions they'll be asking you, will be about you as a student in their program and then you as a PA in the clinical setting. So you kind of want to answer every question with those 2 things in mind, unless it's like a really personal question like, what do you do for fun, or how do you like to relax, which I was asked in my interviews. They want to make sure that you know how to calm down and relax and wind down, because PA school is very stressful. It's a lot of studying, a lot of information, a lot of stress, and they want to make sure you know how to handle your stress as well. Don't just think about, you know, professional questions or PA school questions or school questions. Think of also personal questions as well. So I believe I went over all of the interview styles, and now we're gonna get into, again, how to answer the questions. I kind of touched on this before, but basically my best advice is to make sure you address how you would be as a student and how you would be as a PA. And also appear very, you know, interested and engaged with your other interviewees and the interviewers. One thing I remember a lot of us did during our interview was piggybacking off each other. So if someone said something that I agreed with, I would say, you know, to piggyback off her point, or I agreed with what she said because this was my experience, da 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 da. It shows that you're paying attention to the other people talking. Not that you're just there for yourself, but you're also listening to other people. Remember, these people have the potential to be your future classmates. So you want to look like you can get along with them. Don't be standoffish. Don't think, oh, it's my competition. No, don't come in like that. You want to look like you're friendly, like you're kind, you're nice, and that you're able to get along with your other classmates. Another thing I want to touch on is how to dress during the interview. I recommend sticking to something simple and basic: black suit, navy blue suit, or gray suit. I'm gonna insert a picture here as to what I wore in my interview. I had a navy blue suit, a white turtleneck, and I wore black heels, closed toe. That's what I recommend. Something simple, something easy. I recommend wearing a suit, y'all. And I wouldn't go for business casual. You don't want to leave anything to chance, especially your outfit. The last thing you want is to be rejected because you did not dress the part. Sorry.
I said what I said.
Like, very, very important, and you want to make sure you dress well, look well groomed. If you have a beard, you know, make sure it looks nice. Make sure. Hi guys. So for some reason the footage got lost or deleted or something, so I'm just gonna continue on with what I was saying. So like I said, I recommend wearing a suit, you know, black, blue, gray, something neutral, something nice. I also recommend being well groomed. So if you're a guy, if you have a beard, like make sure the beard looks nice, it's not unruly. Make sure your hair is done for both men and women. I wouldn't come with any crazy hair colors like, you know, pink, purple. I would stick to natural hair colors. Make sure it looks nice, well kept. You know, make sure you smell good. I'm not saying put like a bunch of perfume or cologne, but make sure there's no weird odors. Just look as professional as possible. Now, the next thing that I would recommend is coming to the interview with some questions in mind. Try to ask questions that aren't already answered on the website, so it looks like you actually know the website and you know about the program, and you're not asking like redundant questions that have already been explained on the website. So for example, one of the things that I remember asking was, how is their grading system looking like, or what is their grading scale? Some PA schools are pass-fail, whereas others are graded, so you get like a letter grade, like A, B, C, D, and all that. So I wanted to know what their policy was. Another question you may ask is, you know, what is the minimum passing grade that you need to continue on? Some schools have like a really high passing rate, like you have to have like 80% or 78%. Other schools are a little bit lower, 70, 75. That's gonna tell you what you need as a student in order to move on to the next semester. So for example, if you finish the class with, let's say, a 72%, but you need a 75 to pass and move on to the next grade level, to move on to the next semester, you may not be able to because you are below the threshold of passing. Another question I asked was, is there any collaboration between the PA school and the medical school? I know some PA schools are set up within medical schools and they sometimes have classes with some medical school students, whereas other times the PA schools and the medical schools don't really interact. That was one question I asked. Sometimes you'll find that PA schools are within a medical school, or sometimes they're standalone, or other times they're linked up in a college with other health professions like nursing, physical therapy, occupational therapy, pharmacy, etc. So you might want to look into that. Ask them, you know, do we take classes with the nursing students, the medical students? You know, how often do we collaborate with them? Especially because in real life, you're gonna be interacting with these other professions a lot in the clinical setting. It's good to sort of collaborate with them in school to kind of get a feel for what they do and what their practice limitations are. So that's another question you may ask them. So yeah, just come in with questions. Savannah Perry's book does have questions that you could ask, I believe, at the end of the book. You also may want to ask about their PANCE pass rate, or how they prep students to, you know, succeed, or what do they have available for students to learn, like is there any tutoring or advising, etc., etc. With my program, the reason why the interview was so long was because a part of it was them doing a presentation on the school and the faculty members themselves, so we were able to kind of get a feel of what we would be experiencing as students. Some other PA schools may not have that. The first interview I didn't meet anybody from the faculty but the one man that interviewed me. So they didn't really tell me much about the school itself, whereas other schools give you a whole presentation about what to expect as a student. So if that's missing, you may want to ask questions about that. You know, how do we get support from faculty? Are there any other opportunities you guys have at the school, etc., etc. I believe that is all for today, for this video as far as interviews. Of course, if you guys have any questions regarding interviews, please let me know in the comments down below. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm trying to get these videos out for you guys every week. I missed last week because of this whole recording issue, but I hope to continue being consistent. And I hope you guys, you know, are learning from what I'm telling you guys and from my experience. But yeah, guys, again, in the comments, let me know what other videos you guys want to see. I do have a couple more videos related to PA school coming up, and I can't wait to share them with you. And again, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.